Vietnam Veterans Day in New York City, and we're at 55 Water Street, where the Vietnam Veterans Memorial is located. The Vietnam War began November 1st, 1955, and lasted to the fall of Saigon on April 30th, 1975. Nearly 3 million servicemen and women fought in the conflict that would take the lives of more than 58,000 Americans.
My name is Pat Gualtieri. I'm honored to be here today. I'm honored to be a Vietnam vet, and God bless America. There we are. Hoorah! Welcome home, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome home. You are in Vietnam Veterans Memorial Plaza. And this is befitting, and this is where the event should be. Please welcome our host for today's festivities. His name is Vincent McGowan. He's the president of the United War Veterans, the chairman of the Veterans Advisory Board, and a Marine who served proudly in Vietnam.
Well, good morning, everyone. Really, thank you all for being here again. The United War Veterans Council, the team that Pat and Ryan Haig, Kelly Bryant, Molly Levy had working out of 346 Broadway is how we get to these points. But we wouldn't get here if it wasn't for the help of the fabulous people that the city brings to us in the form of our new commissioner, Loree Sutton, and her very strong Chief of Staff, Catherine Laporte. Thank you very much, Catherine. Thank you very much, Commissioner, for all you do. We all stand on the shoulders of giants here in the veterans community, no less the Vietnam veterans who stand with the Korean War veterans and those that came before us in World War II. But we do have a guy from Desert Storm here who was in the commissioner's spot just before she occupied it, and Terry Holliday deserves all our attention and a shout out for him for all the good work that he did for us in the past. Terry Holliday. Now the idea that we can come together in this beautiful lobby and have the cooperation of the management, the new 55 Water Street Corporation, a Mobile, Alabama-based retirement system that saw New York in our dark days as a value and bought this building with the condition that they help us maintain our Vietnam Veterans Memorial here right out to the south of us. It's 92,000 square feet. We were the first public space opened in Lower Manhattan on November 19th after the devastating attacks of September 11th, and many of us in this room were here when we brought back to life this end of the city that so many people had tried to tear down. This wouldn't have happened if we didn't have the strong leadership of the newly retired Executive Vice President of 55 Water Street, Harry Bridgewood. Harry, please take your appropriate applause wherever you are. Harry has been the chairman and continues to be the chairman of the Friends of the Vietnam Veterans Plaza. Where we are all standing today, 2 years ago on October 30th, there was 14 feet of water in here. Now that 14 feet of water finally went, but what it did to our memorial, to our walk of honor, to the flag, to the map, the most inclusive map of Vietnam that exists in the United States, sits right out there. Make sure you see it before you go home. But Harry has been the chairman of the Friends of the Vietnam Veterans Plaza, and the repairs that needed to be done to fix the plaza, which comes under the auspices of the New York City Department of Parks and Recreation, would never get to where they are. We would not have what we have to look at right now if it wasn't for our chairman, Gabe Stefania, the chairman of the committee. Gabe Stefania, please, come on, stand up and let these guys see you. The board of the Friends of, the board of Vietnam Veterans of America, Chapter 126, the board of the United War Veterans Council, in fact, the very sinew and muscle of the veterans community in New York can all be found right here, working in and around the networks that have existed since we put this memorial up here in 1985. We have a proud heritage that we are passing. We're in the process of passing on now to our sons, daughters, nephews, grandchildren. You name them, they're all there. The young men and women who are volunteering to pick up the cudgel and fight for democracy throughout the Middle East. We are celebrating this year the 25th anniversary of the Gulf War. Many of us were at the Desert Storm Welcome Home Ticker Parade back in 1998, and we continue to go forward with the United War Veterans Council, making sure that New York City never forgets the debt of gratitude that it owes to its veterans, never forgets that there are men and women out there in the dead of night, in the worst of weather, standing watch to make sure that we can sleep well and be safe in our homes. Thank you all for being here. Please thank the service members that you see in the room today. Please thank our friends at the New York City Police Department, Fire Department, Parks Department, Mayor's Office of Veterans Affairs. We couldn't possibly do these things without them. And now we have very strong friends that we didn't always have in the New York City Council. We have Eric Ulrich, who will be here speaking to us in a moment. The chairman, he's the new chairman of the Veterans Committee, doing a lot of work. Let's hear it for the new chairman. And finally, I want to thank our Manhattan Borough President. All the borough presidents recently have turned a new focus on the veterans community that had not been there for quite a few decades. We are seeing with the leadership of Manhattan Borough President Gail Brewer that our work in recycling, our work in events are now being looked at by the city as the value added that we always knew that we brought to it. The United War Veterans Council leadership, the Vietnam veteran leadership, is recognizing our age and our maturity and knowing that it's time to pass the torch. Our designated new president of the United War Veterans Council, I'll always be the founding president, and I'll keep on reminding him of that, with Mr. Dan McSweeney, a native New Yorker, speaks fluent Spanish, a Marine who served a couple of tours in Iraq and Afghanistan, a major in the United States Marine Corps, and he's going to be a major player in the city's veterans community going forward. I give you Dan McSweeney.
Hoorah! Semper Fi. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to say thanks. As Vince said, my name is Dan McSweeney. I'm a Marine vet of Iraq. I was there twice. I was not in Afghanistan, unfortunately. But I just want to say something very, very simple, but very, very profound, in my opinion, which is that the Iraq and Afghanistan veterans stand very, very closely together with the Vietnam veterans. We are absolutely grateful for all that they did to set the foundation for us to come home and have a successful homecoming and feel welcome here in the United States. If not for Vietnam vets, that would not be the case. So this is a very simple thing, because if you look around this room, you will see that all of us here are a family. We're all connected by the bonds of service that we all share. So I'm grateful, I'm humbled. I've got some very, very large boots to fill after Vince McGowan. But I'm absolutely committed to doing that. So I thank you very much for your welcome. Thank you for being here. It's an honor. Hoorah.
We have a friend at City Council. We really do. Please welcome to the veterans community, and you are it, the Honorable Eric Ulrich, Chair of the New York City Council's Veterans Committee. Please welcome him.
Thank you, Pat, and good afternoon, everyone. Madam Borough President, Commissioner Sutton, distinguished guests from the Governor's Office and from all levels of government, thank you for being here today to join me in honoring our fallen heroes, in saluting our Gold Star families, in keeping alive the memories of all of the men and women who have served our great country, but today in a very special way, our Vietnam veterans. Vietnam veterans served our country dutifully, but when they came back home, they weren't always given a hero's welcome. They were not given the gratitude that they deserved, but today, more than 40 years after the end of the Vietnam War, we say thank you once again for serving our great country. Vietnam veterans, in a very profound way, fought to protect the freedoms that we so often take for granted. And I cannot think of a better way to honor their sacrifices that they have made on our behalf than to have events like these, which help the families and the loved ones of veterans as well. So I want to thank the United War Vets Council, the former president, the new president, all of the people that are involved with this fine organization for organizing a spectacular event. We should have more of these, and I know we will. And we need to bring them to the outer boroughs too. I'm a little partial because I'm from Queens, but, all right, but we have a lot of Vietnam veterans in Queens, as we do all the other boroughs, and we want to get to them as well. So thank you for everything that you do for veterans, for their families, and know that the City Council and the Mayor's office, certainly, we got your back. God bless our troops. God bless America. Thanks very much.
We've been introducing quite a few stellar personalities, truly. The ladies in white, Gold Star family members. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please stand and let's acknowledge these wonderful people. Gold Star family members, Iraq, Afghanistan, and Vietnam. Thank you. Thank you for honoring us. You're the best. I work at 346 Broadway. Right across the hallway is the Mayor's Office of Veteran Affairs. I have a new commissioner. She is a general. She's retired. She's here to speak to you today and to honor us. Please welcome the Honorable Loree Sutton, Brigadier General, United States Army, and the new Commissioner of the Mayor's Office of Veteran Affairs.
Well, thank you so much, Pat. And Vince, thank you so much for your remarks. And Dan, Chairman Ulrich, Jamal Othman from State, President Gail Brewer, Command Sergeant Major Kevin Fauntleroy, I see, from Fort Hamilton, and the greatest group of veterans and family members and Gold Star moms and family members, Blue Star moms and family members in the greatest city on earth. Here we are, folks. What do you think? I feel so blessed. Every day I just pinch myself and say, do I really have this privilege of representing all components of service, active, National Guard reservists, all generations of veterans, their family members, and yes, once again, our Gold Star mothers and families, Blue Star mothers and families, like we saw this morning at St. Andrew's Church when we had a chance to read every name of every New Yorker who paid the ultimate price in Vietnam. Truly, we are blessed. I'm also blessed to be able to point to Catherine Laporte. No one gets where they're going alone. Catherine Laporte on Team MOVA. We've got Letitia Rousseau, Inez Adon. Stop by our booth and know that MOVA is on the move. Okay, so now it is my distinct privilege to be able to share with you both greetings from Mayor Bill de Blasio as well as a mayor's proclamation. Please listen closely. Whereas, since the founding of our nation, brave New Yorkers have answered the call of duty to defend our democratic ideals and the freedom that we far too often have taken for granted. Serving in every branch of our armed forces, we owe the safety and strength of New York City and the United States to these brave men and women and the veterans of the Vietnam War who served our country during one of its most challenging times. Today, we are proud and honored to join the United War Veterans Council to recognize these individuals for their sacrifice, valor, and willingness to face danger and the unknown for the sake of their fellow Americans. Whereas we owe veterans a tremendous debt of gratitude for their bravery and selflessness, and in standing by the Vietnam veterans that call the 5 boroughs home, it is essential that we give back to all those who have worn our nation's uniform. United War Veterans Council has been a vital partner in these efforts, offering mental health programs, career development resources, outreach events, and services that bring communities together in support of veterans from every era. And through the Mayor's Office of Veterans Affairs, we are working to ensure that veterans can access the housing, jobs, health benefits, and educational opportunities they need, deserve, and have earned. Whereas we reflect on the many New Yorkers and Americans who gave their lives in Vietnam and pay tribute to their heroism and dedicated service, we must never forget to do all that we can for their families and loved ones that will forever carry on in their memories and their hearts. Today's event is an important time to not only honor and celebrate Vietnam veterans, but also to renew our commitment to uplift every member of our nation's military at home and abroad. Their patriotism and courage reminds us of our obligation to stand together and forge a better, brighter future, and to never forget to share their inspiring stories with new generations. Now, therefore, I, Bill de Blasio, Mayor of the City of New York, do hereby proclaim Saturday, March 28, 2015, in the City of New York as Vietnam Veterans Recognition Day. Welcome home, one and all. Thank you so much.
As I mentioned earlier, Commissioner Bratton could not be here, but he asked his fellow NYPD brother. His name is Patrick McCarthy. He's the Deputy Commander, Borough Command, United States Army, 1976-79. Please welcome Commander Patrick McCarthy.
Thank you, Pat. Good afternoon. Commissioner Bratton could not be here today, and I am representing the New York City Police Department. My name is Patrick McCarthy. I'm a deputy chief. I work up in the Bronx. Yes. Home of the 27 World Times New York Yankees. I'd like to thank first, to start off, I thank Vince McMahon, the founding president, for bringing me here today, along with the future president, Dan McSweeney, also a Marine. I am honored to speak here today for several reasons. One of them being very proud and to speak to you today in front of a very courageous and brave audience. Secondly, I'm also proud to be here today because I come from a military family. My grandfather was a World War I veteran, my uncle served in World War II, and my father was awarded the Bronze Star on the Korean Peninsula. Lastly, I am a veteran who was stationed in Fort Hood, Texas, go figure, in the 411th MP Company from 1976 to 1979. When I entered into the military in 1976, I was privileged to have NCOs and commissioned officers who are Vietnam-era veterans. In my basic training, my drill sergeants would proudly wear their CIBs and calmly compliment me while I was doing push-ups and also commenting on the limits of my physical ability. However, they instilled a lifetime belief of discipline, determination, fortitude, and the skills to make me a better American and also a police officer. As you know, we lost almost 60,000 men and women in Vietnam, and nearly 2,000 of them from New York City. To these men and women, we owe much of our freedom as we cherish today. And being a police officer and a veteran myself, I know firsthand about the sacrifice that these brave men and women gave to us and for our country. Everything our government promises, the freedom of speech and the freedom of press and the worship, has been defended and upheld by our veterans, but at a tremendous cost. As Vietnam veterans, you sacrificed so much during and after the war. The negative reactions from fellow Americans and the disrespect that was cast upon you returning from combat is something that cannot be forgotten. What our veterans fought for and they died for must resound to our future generations. We must always remember that Vietnam veterans, their courage and their honor, similar to how I remember how my sergeants and commissioned officers when I was in the Army instilled discipline in myself. We must also now remember to pass the torch to our new veterans coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan, and use the knowledge that we have here today, be able to have them cope with society as it changes in the future. It's a noble calling to be a police officer. We're out there on the front lines defending freedom. But I can tell you that the police department, the New York City Police Department, is closely aligned with the veterans. Our department has over 4,000 members of the service are veterans. 116 are active service, serving overseas as I speak. Today, we're here to honor those men and women who served our country, and especially the ones from Vietnam. We always remember to welcome those vets who returned home, and we never remember always remember their sacrifice. And I think it's very important that the council here today is looking to pay that forward, to move that on to the next generation of veterans, because they need our support for eternity. So I'd like to thank you once again for letting me speak here today. I'd like to offer you my best wishes and thank you for your service. And always, God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
An honorable person is with us today. We love him very much. He's the Deputy Director of Veteran Affairs for New York State and also a proud Marine. Please welcome the Honorable Jamal Othman from the Governor's Office.
Thank you for that warm welcome, Pat. Good afternoon. On behalf of Governor Cuomo and the New York State Division of Veteran Affairs, welcome home. I'm delighted to be here today to commemorate Vietnam Veterans Day and to present the Governor's Proclamation. I'd like to read to you just a few of the most poignant aspects of the proclamation. Whereas, throughout the history of our state and nation, countless brave individuals have answered the call to patriotic duty, including Vietnam veterans who have answered the call and risked their lives fighting for the ideals of democracy. Whereas, of the names listed on the Vietnam Memorial Wall in our nation's capital, 4,126 are those of courageous young New Yorkers who went off to fight half a world away, never to return. We recognize and thank all of our state's Vietnam veterans for their service, those who've made the ultimate sacrifice, those who came home physically and emotionally scarred, and those who returned safely to their loved ones. And whereas we have not forgotten, nor will we ever forget the men and women who served so honorably in the Vietnam War, like so many others who've answered the call in previous and subsequent wars. The selfless service and sacrifice of Vietnam veterans is an inspiring reminder of the patriotism, spirit, and courage of all who serve in our nation's armed forces. Now, therefore, I, Jamal Othman, on behalf of Andrew Cuomo, Governor of the State of New York, do hereby proclaim March 29, 2015 as Vietnam Veterans Day. I'd like to present the following proclamation to United War veterans.
Thank you very much.
Best of luck, Vince, and I look forward to working and with Dan McSweeney and the new leadership of United War Veterans. Hoorah!
Thank you. This is pretty much concluding the event, but we were surrounded by all these teenagers, and they have some presentation. Come right across the front. Go ahead. These are all the authors of the stories, and they brought all these books with you, and I was told there's a special presentation. Bring it up. Let's see. Oh my. Let us know what this is. Yeah?
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Mr. Gualtieri. This is Amanda. She actually did the paint on this. Her father did a wood carving of the American flag, and she wants to give this to you, Mr. Gualtieri, to have in your offices as a remembrance.
I accept this on behalf of all of us. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. Welcome, Borough President Gail Brewer.
Thank you very much, Pat. I'm Gail Brewer. I'm the Manhattan Borough President, and I think I've been here for several years, and I want to say how much I enjoy working with our commissioner, with the folks from the City Council. You have a great new council chair, and I just want to say on behalf of the Borough President's office that we are working with the other borough presidents. As Vincent McGowan indicated, we've been honored to work with some of the women veterans coming back from Afghanistan and Iraq. We're trying really hard to get a Manhattan court for veterans, because I know that the other boroughs have them. My husband, Cal Snyder, is here. He's a veteran from Vietnam and has written some books on the issue of war memorials, and we have a great respect for all the work that went into the Vietnam War Memorial. So on behalf of everybody in Manhattan, thank you to the service of the Vietnam veterans and all the work you're doing for the returning veterans. We need to make sure that they are given the kind of respect that wasn't given to Vietnam, and we're working really hard to do that. So congratulations to all who are here today, but particularly to Vincent and to Pat and Dan. You have big shoes to fill. Thank you very much.
And once again, welcome home. Let's get back to the facilities. Thank you.
And this is the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Plaza. It's at 55 Water Street here in Manhattan, New York City.